Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. If you are a returning subscriber, yay, thanks for coming back. I really appreciate your support. And if you are brand new to my channel, yay, you found me. I'm so glad. I've been waiting for you. So you need to know that my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can decide whether or not you want to spend time or money or both watching a particular film. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is called Bad Hombres. This dark comedy thriller releases on January 25th, 2024 on Paramount Plus. The film is definitely rated R and is an hour and 32 minutes long. My overall movie review mom grade is about a C plus. Now, let me explain why I'm giving it that grade. Partly, I readily admit that I am not the target audience for this film and that my review is entirely from a mom's perspective. So let me give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like, tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines, interesting lines, and some recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also like if you like this one. All right, does that sound good? So in a nutshell, the story is about two undocumented immigrants who take the simple job of digging a hole in the desert on land owned by someone else. When the Mexicans discover that their employers turn out to be complete psychopaths, staying alive will become the most complex job of their lives. So the movie was directed by John Stolberg Jr., who also co-wrote it with Rex New and Nick Turner. The film has already won 2 awards at the Mammoth Film Festival, where it premiered in March of 2023. It won the Grand Jury Award and Achievement in Screenwriting. So another little bit of a nutshell is I actually was an exchange student in Mexico back when I was in high school. So I love Mexico. I love Mexicans. And so I just want you to have that information so that you don't just think I'm like hate immigrants or something like that. Not that my comments are going to be about that at all. Just saying. So let me give you some tips for parents. As I mentioned, this is rated R, not appropriate for kids for many reasons, including there is profanity and about 1 million F-bombs and some crude conversations, both in Spanish and in English. So I speak Spanish fluently and I caught all the swear words in both languages. There is Spanish, a lot of Spanish spoken with subtitles. We see bloody, brutal deaths, tons of violence, and just some inappropriate moments that just are not appropriate for kids. So not for kids. Some of the themes that are illustrated well are illegal immigration, work, choices, standing up for others in need, and choosing your friends wisely. So here's a long list of things I really liked about the movie, starting off with Diego Tinoco. He takes a serious beating in this movie. I had never seen him in anything before, and I thought he did a really outstanding job. If you are a Chris or Liam Hemsworth fan, you might be interested to see their older brother in this movie. So here you go. He's easy to spot. He's the one with the Australian accent. And I definitely saw the resemblance between him and his younger brothers. We learn a bunch of fun facts from this crazy Australian in the movie. Now, I've always really liked survive the night type of films. It just ramps up the tension immensely. And I liked that. There was never a dull moment where people are just really sitting around talking. Stuff is happening the whole time. There's a scene where the camera slowly pans across a room where we hear shuffling feet and gunshots. And I love that. I like that kind of direction because it leaves more to the imagination than just when a director shows a bloody massacre right there in front of you. And I'm talking to you, Quentin Tarantino. I like the intrigue of not knowing who is it, who's getting shot, where's the blood coming from, and that kind of thing. And so I liked that. There's also a good soundtrack. There is a lot of tension. There's a lot of action, a lot of shooting up in this movie. So with all that praise, there were some things I didn't like, obviously. First of all, all of the characters kind of seemed like cartoon characters of bad guys. one of the characters, Luke Hemsworth, has this thick Australian accent that is often hard to understand. Often it's humorous as well. One of the characters rips on conservative ideology and is a conspiracy theorist. And so they kind of make fun of that during the movie. Almost every sentence has an F bomb in it. And I'm not even exaggerating. Not every single, I said almost every single sentence. And my poor ears were just burning. I get that the film features scumbag gangsters and bad hombres, and that's how they would talk, but it kind of just seemed like lazy writing to me. There could have been so many more interesting things. And at times, the Spanish speaking illegal immigrants don't understand. And then other times, they completely understand everything all of the English speaking characters saying, including the Australian guy. And I would think that would be really hard for them to understand because I had a hard time understanding him sometimes. Now, Act One has a lot of humor in it, but the rest of the movie is just bad guys swearing and shooting each other, honestly. This is 100% toxic masculinity rolled into one movie. So if you are sensitive to that, this is definitely not your movie. So whenever I watch films, I write down funny lines and interesting lines. And while I said that there was humor, there was nothing noteworthy that, or at least I didn't write down any notes of funny lines. But I did write down some interesting lines, and you can see all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. But I'll share a couple of them with you right now. So Alfonso, played by Hemke Madera, is one of the illegal immigrants, and you're just not quite sure what he's all about in Act One. Act Two, you're like, huh. And by Act Three, you have a totally different feeling about him. And so he's trying to teach this younger immigrant. And a line that gets repeated a couple of times is, quote, everything has a cost. Now, of course, they've come into the country, paid money to have somebody help them get in illegally into the United States. And then once they arrive, they're constantly having to pay for things, not just food and gas and stuff like that, but help, that the cost that they pay isn't just in money, in other words. Another interesting line that the same character says is, I made a deal with the devil, one I intend to keep. And you're like, whoa, okay, because he's a bad hombre. Now, while I was watching this movie, I instantly thought of three films that are sort of similar. The first one is called Last the Night. Now, this one is a high school teacher who's trying to survive, and at the same time, some high school students are trying to survive him throughout the night. There was one that I was trying to remember the name of, and it was fantastic. I saw it, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. Could I be that old? And it's my favorite Last the Night type of movie, and I cannot remember the name of it. But this one kind of has that. It's definitely more of a low budget. The next one, believe it or not, is Shaun of the Dead. And you might be going, what? That's a zombie movie. I know, but the similarities were there was some humor, and they are definitely trying to survive the night. There's lots of tension, but it is more goofy than the serious nature of this movie. And then the last survive the night type of movie, it's a bit of a stretch, is Don't Breathe. That one came out in 2016, and there's been a sequel to it also. And the twist to that is that there's somebody who's completely blind and he has to survive the night, which just jacks up the tension even more. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this movie. Hopefully more than I did. It was a little bit of an experience where I felt like I was swimming in the gutter the whole time. Those are not the type of people I hang out with every day, as you could probably imagine. But I love a vigilante movie. Not that this is that. It's more of a surviving a cat and mouse and surviving being chased. But there is a little bit of an element of that as well. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me. And when you get a minute, run over to my Facebook group called Movie Review Mom. You can also find me on Instagram and all of the social media outlets, really. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.